It is a brand new episode of CNB here on the NDTV network. Thank you for joining us. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Parthankar, and with us today we've got the two new rivals, staunch rivals, really burning up the market. But that's not going to be the big focus of this episode. We're going to talk about the Jaguar F-Type. Yes, I promised you more details on that car. We showed you a little glimpse a couple of weeks ago. Now it's time to get into the in-depth review. Imagine drawing on heritage like this. The Jaguar E-Type, described by many as the most beautiful car ever made. Called the masterpiece of British design and engineering for its sheer simplicity, and achieving all of this over 50 years ago. So yes, imagine drawing on all of that when delivering its successor all these decades later. The pressure, the challenge, well, they're immeasurable, and yet need to break out of its shadow, go in a new direction that defies modernity, and that's clearly valuable. Jaguar Car's head of design, Ian Callum, and his team went all out to impress, to offer us what they see as the perfect blend of classical and modern. And they challenged the company's engineering team to, well, fit it all into their design boundary, so as to still offer the kind of exhilarating performance expected from a sports car, all while looking fantastic. So we touched down at Pamplona Airport in northern Spain to meet the F-Type. Well, I had met the car before, now it was all about driving it. Now there are 3 models on offer, so I began the journey with the standard V6. Seems ample enough on paper, and yet the decision from Jaguar to go for a V6 base version, if you will, had surprised the pundits. A drive through the Basque countryside brought us to the Navarra region within Basque and to a racetrack. So it's a bit of a change of scene. The car that just went by is the V6S, which is of course a little bit more powerful than the regular V6 that we started off with this morning. And we are at the Navarra circuit, 3.933 kilometers long. It's relatively new. It's a spanking new facility. It just opened in June 2010. And you know what? The whole idea here is to check the dynamic response of the car. So much that's been said about the F-Type being the most dynamic Jaguar ever. Well, we're about to put that to the test. The other reason to get to the V6S is because the base 3-litre V6 isn't coming to India anyway. A quick brief on the track itself first, and then it was time to don the safety gear. And yes, that included not just the helmet and the balaclava, also a Jaguar test driver. Well, the first lap had me in the passenger seat to get a bit of an orientation or a quick brief on the car and the track, and then it was mine. The Navarra circuit has some sharp corners and is more dynamic than I had expected. The car is taut, responsive, and yes, can be thrown around. Of course, the real fun started once I turned the electronic stability control program off. Then I was really throwing it around and had the tail flash out a bit. Truly awesome. The gearbox is a gem, with very quick shifts, making for a very responsive and fast drive. Now Driving on any track with any car always gives you a good sense of just how precise that car is, how much you can actually push it in dynamic senses. But on this car, the other thing that of course immediately stands out is the fact that mechanically there are big differences between this and the standard V6, if you want to call it that. And then let's not also forget that Jaguar engineers preferred to go with the hydraulic steering. Again, having come out on the track, I now understand just why. The numbers on the V6S show you about 40 horses more than the base car. It also offers the limited slip mechanical differential and configurable dynamics, which are essentially like Audi's Drive Select. This means you can customize throttle response, suspension and steering settings. Almost time to say goodbye to the circuit here at Navarra, and I can tell you it was a lot of fun, and thank God it didn't rain, because well, that would have put quite literally a dampener on the entire proceedings, and perhaps we wouldn't have been able to test the car out on the track. So what we're going to do now is going to stay with the V6S. Don't have the red anymore, but we're going to get into this one. And I have swapped out my helmet for the F-Type hat. Back to the open road. Now, when we'd first heard about the powertrain options that were to come on the F-Type, the critics raised quite a few doubts. Will a V6 be powerful enough? Will it be ample and dynamic? Will it live up to the reputation and hype that had been built up? So those critics have been silenced. You've seen me today spending a lot of time with this car. You pretty much know what I think, isn't it? It is definitely fun, dynamic, very much ample on the figures, and so a lot of people are probably just going to be happy to opt for the V6 itself. The question that does pop up in my mind though is that if this car has been such a nice little monster, well, what's the V8 going to be like? A beast? Well, I'm going to have to hold on to my curiosity and be a little bit patient, because I only get my hands on the V8 tomorrow. Before we carry on, even though I have showed you the car before, a quick word on its design, eh? Let's talk a little bit about the design now, and Ian Callum, who's of course the head of design at Jaguar, has spoken about this with us before, even on CNB, you'll remember, from the Paris Motor Show, where the car made its global debut. At the time too, he made this statement which surprised some people, that his favorite part of the design is actually the rear of the car, the butt, if you will. And it's because of the kind of dynamic form and the sense of width that you get from it. It also sits a little bit high, and I think that's the part he was referring to. There's also a very specific line that the car's design follows. And it starts right back here at the tail light, and then just moves very gently, curves a little bit over here, which is very nice because it adds a little sense of muscle, and then right through the door, all the way, and then into the front bumper. So it's a congruous line, and it really gives the car a lot of shape, a lot of form, and also adds a dynamic element to the car even when it's standing still. The other bit that's been done very smartly, and I think again complements that design, is that the designers got their way and managed to get flush doors, so you don't have door handles that sort of ruin the overall look of the car. And the way that works is that the engineers came up with a nice solution. So when you approach the car, you unlock it with the key fob, out pops the door handle, and that's how you get in. So nice little touch. And of course, when you drive away, in they go again. Neat little trick that will make buyers gloat a bit. The visual differentiator between the V6 and the V8 is at the rear, the tailpipes. The V6 has twins, while the V8, which we'll show you later on, has quads. Now, I like this one better, frankly. Looks pretty neat in the center, almost bugle-like. So that's the story on the V6S. It will arrive along with the V8S later this summer. Now we'll bring you more details on the pricing and some of the onboard electronics, as well as the review of that V8S model on the show next week. So we will of course bring you more on the F-Type. The V8 is quite a monster. That's something for you to look forward to on the program next week. Now, these two cars are surely getting a lot of attention. You do, of course, remember that when the Amaze came in, everybody said that the car to beat is the Maruti Suzuki Swift Desire, and no doubt about it, that is the car that Honda was trying to target as well. So take a look at them in terms of overall appeal and just where they sit in this space. Well, they are pretty similar, aren't they? Not surprising, considering this was the rival by design for Honda. Now, when you talk about great rivalries like this, does this have the stuff that legends are made of? I mean, is this going to end up being somewhat like, I don't know, Federer, Nadal, or Boris Becker? Well, you never know, it just might, right? In terms of volumes, I think that's where the big difference lies. Maruti makes a whole lot more of these cars than Honda makes of the Amaze, but it is this part of the car which looks more proportionate, more sedan-like than the Desire does, which is getting a lot of attention from buyers. But you know what, at the end of the day, it's not the attributes of the car itself, it's this badge. It's the Honda brand that's really bringing in a whole lot of attention, a whole lot of buying interest, and the thing to see is whether all of that will be sustained. Time for a short break, our sector snapshot as we slip into it.
We will do 1,000 trucks this year and several thousand trucks next year, and I'm sure it will be not very much in the future when we will do 10,000 trucks out of a highly trusted, highly quality business system here with the Indian suppliers, here in south of India, here in Tamil Nadu, here in Chennai, here in this plant, delivering in all the international markets.
Our locally made products continue to be unprofitable, while our imported products are profitable. In the search to improve scale and competitiveness, we explored what export opportunities might be available to us. But we were still faced with the fact that our cost structure in Australia remained uncompetitive. Our costs are double that of Europe and nearly 4 times Ford in Asia.
Now this is the part where things start to get a little bit different, and again there's a bit of a USP for the Amaze. Welcome back to CNB. We are talking a little bit about these two new rivals in the Indian car market, the Honda Amaze and the Maruti Suzuki Swift Desire. The interiors of that car, if you remember, always got a little bit of flack for being very cramped, but it was just such a great value proposition that people lapped it up. Now the Amaze has an amazing amount of cabin space. You remember during our review as well, I did make this point that it's almost uncanny how much space Honda has been able to carve out of this little cabin. A cabin that is akin to the Brio, but you still get more space here. The comfort level, especially in the back, is a lot better than what you get on the Desire. But overall quality of the interiors, the plastics, the way the dash has been laid out, everything else impresses a little bit more on the Desire. So it looks more upmarket, looks more swanky. This one, of course, is a Honda and it is spacious. Now we move away from these two stock cars and talk about two cars that have been modified heavily. Now these, of course, have been pulled off by the man who is the king of all things modification and design when it comes to India, Dilip Chhabria, of course. And the cars in question, well, one of them, I can tell you, is our car of the year, the Renault Duster. Bala was in Bangalore at the launch of these two vehicles.
From fully customized interior and exterior changes in paint and body design to just add-on modification kits, any car, irrespective of size, can pull off a makeover to look different. But that really depends on how deep you want to dig into your wallet. The latest to go under the knife is CNB's Car of the Year and the very popular Renault Duster. Carrying out the makeover is auto design guru Dilip Chhabria, or as everyone calls him, DC.
Now, DC has come up with several interesting designs in the past, and this has to count as one of the more popular designs on the Duster this time. Very unique and futuristic in the kind of design element of the Duster, and guaranteed to make those heads turn while you're driving this on the road. And one of the key elements for me, as well as many people who have really liked the design, is this new matte black paint on the body. Really gives it a lot more muscle, I would say, and a lot more sportiness to the car itself. Also, the front bumper has changed quite a lot. You have these LED running lights, a new grille altogether. The twin headlamps of the Duster is gone, and you have these projector headlamps, very sleek looking, adding and blending well into the overall design of the Duster, really.
But where the DC Duster continues to be its boring self is at the back, where the modifications are minimal, with even the tail lights being left alone. But no such disappointments on the inside, as there are plenty of funky modifications with new ambient lighting, electrically adjustable rear passenger seats, an 11-inch LCD screen which swivels, and an iPad holder. Maybe the only mismatch is the strange orange shade on the interiors, especially on the dashboard and the steering wheel, but the wooden panels manage to blend in well and they give the car a richer feel. Now, all this luxury and exclusivity is gonna cost you. Just the matte black paint itself will cost you 7 lakh rupees. Other changes to the exterior cost an additional 1 lakh rupees, and the interior modifications, well, that's a cool 3.5 lakh rupees right there. But if you're working on a tighter budget on a smaller car like the i20, there are a few add-on kits that DC also offers.
Now, the i20 already has a fairly sporty look with its fluidic design, and the new DC design really doesn't try too hard to change with that kind of sporty look. What you can see is the big new front bumper, really, which is changed quite a lot with the new design on the front grille that you can see. This touch continues all the way in the side as well as in the rear, all very neatly done.
Further add-ons include new color on the interior and also leather on the dashboard and seats, all this for about 2.5 lakh rupees. But the man behind all of this has designs on a different kind of consumer too. Remember his much-awaited supercar, the Avanti? Well, after some delay, the 25 lakh rupee supercar is all set to hit Indian roads by the end of this year.
It's a very bold step for a company of our size to really manufacture cars, and that to a supercar. But we will prove them wrong, just as nobody expected a DC design to spring up in India, and we have kind of wowed the world. But we are very confident. We hope to make sure the first cars roll out in the month of December, the first batch of deliveries. On the engine front, it's a Euro 5 leading European brand, which I can't name for obvious reasons. It belts out we will limit it to 260 horsepowers in India, which is from the tests so far conducted on a dynamometer has been pretty impressive. Therefore, we are getting simulated readings of 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. We actually thought it would be much slower. It's proved to be much faster, which is very good. And the usual, all 4-wheel disc brakes, 6-speed gearbox, same kind of suspension setup that all supercars have.
DC is also building on the Avanti supercar design and will unveil a smaller two-seater version of the Avanti at next year's Auto Expo in Delhi.
Okay, let's move away from these two cars now and talk about a car lover. Now, this one is a special kind of a person. And you know what? Every once in a while, I know I get really lucky because I get the chance to meet and interview some very interesting people. This particular gentleman, like I said, is a major car nut, but he's not known for that. He's in fact known because he is an absolute legend in the world of tennis. I'm talking about six-time Grand Slam winner Boris Becker. He was in India a few days ago for the Mercedes GL launch, and we had the chance to catch up with him exclusively. Spoke to him about tennis, of course, but more importantly began by asking him about his love for cars.
Being born and raised in Germany with the Autobahn, I mean, every child wants to be the next Michael Schumacher. That's just a given. And so obviously once I had my driving license, I just loved driving the German highways and no speed control and not many rules. Obviously I got very quickly stopped by the police and I had to behave like everybody else. But yeah, ever since I'm a teenager, I'm a big car fan, love the Formula One, and obviously love Mercedes-Benz.
First car, what was your first?
My very first car was an 190e Mercedes.
And it was fairly early in your career that you decided to invest in the brand as well. You have 3 dealerships.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I mean, did somebody advise you? Why
well,
did you think of doing
I'm thankful for my father to give me the right advice at the right time. When I was in my mid-20s, and then I've made a few dollars, and then what you do, I listened to him, and he said, "Listen, young son, invested in real estate, invested in the good business of Mercedes-Benz." So I was able to, 18 years later now, enjoy the fruit of labor that I've had, not only with tennis, but with the right investments as well.
And do you think it's been nice to see the way it's grown since then? I mean, the brand has, of course, gotten bigger and bigger as well. So,
well, like every brand, you go through ups and downs. You have to reinvent yourself all the time. You've come up with better cars, better marketing strategies. You have to explore new markets, to call them emerging markets now. So that's important, and it needs the right people at the helm. But I think Mercedes-Benz is well positioned. They go with the times, they learn from their mistakes, and they're a wonderful brand.
The other thing, of course, a lot of your fans will want to know is that, what is the car that you drive today? Or more than one, perhaps?
I'm a big fan of the G-Wagon. It's out in Europe already, and I have a quite large family with lots of kids. So if I want to take them from A to B and I want one car, I take the GL. If I'm on the highway and I want to go for a little bit and check out the speed, I drive the SLS as well. So I got...
That's a speed car.
Yeah.
And so you do drive yourself, you don't use a chauffeur?
I hate chauffeur. I mean, I not that I don't trust him, but I want to drive my own car.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Time for us to wrap up CNB. No real big verdict here because, well, these two cars are fairly evenly matched. This one remains extremely popular. And the larger point, this particular car hasn't come to us from Maruti's media fleet, and which is why we're not going to pit the two together aggressively enough to do a proper showdown. But the point was to throw this at you. What do you make of this new rivalry that seems to be brewing in the auto space? We like it. It keeps the market more exciting. And of course, at the end of the day, the consumer wins. So that's always the best part. Tell us what you think of these two cars and how they stack up against each other. Everything else you saw on the program today and anything you want to see on the program. Any questions, queries, Facebook, NDTV Social, Twitter, you know how to get in touch with me. So I shall await your feedback as always. Please wear your helmets, please wear your seatbelts. No matter what part of the car you're sitting in, I will see you next week.